Welcome to another battleship inspection in World of Warships. We're looking at it. I didn't think we'd be looking at it this early, but we're looking at the Libtard. Why didn't I think we would be looking at it this early? Well, I've often said that I like to play quite a few games in each ship to really get a handle of it. A bit different in this situation. Number one, because I played the shit out of the Iparanga, which is basically just it bullies tier 9 ranked. Basically speed ran through tier 9 ranked in that thing. Free XP the Libertad. I didn't expect to record this for at least a couple of weeks, except I played 3 games in the Libertad today, and we're going to look at games 2 and 3. And well, yeah, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be a little stupid. This first game we're looking at is going to be a very bad game compared to the second game. So what is the Libertad? Well, basically, think of yourself as having less accurate Montana guns, right? They have very similar amounts of pen, i.e. too much pen. You get 30-second turret traverse base. You have normal speed. You go 31.5 with the flag. But you can run improved brisk on your captain. So you go 35.5 knots with brisk. You have the best tier 10 battleship acceleration in the game. It blows Vermont acceleration out of the fucking water. You have some of the best maneuverability in the game at this tier. You're just a bit less maneuverable than, say, Thunderer. Then you have by far the best secondaries in the game. Just basic stock, if we took the F key away, these would be the best secondaries in the game, because they would basically be like eating your cake and having it with IFHE Schlieffen. Right, if you watch my Schlieffen review, you know that I'm not 100% sold on IFHE on that thing because of the fire starting being so good. But with Libertad, you basically get the pen, well, way better pen than IFHE Schlieffen. And then you also get the crazy fire starting. So you get to have both things going for you at the same time, which is, I mean, just frankly absurd. And that is because your large caliber secondaries are where most of your DPM comes from and most of your fire starting. And those pen 59. So basically all battleships except like Kremlin and some parts of Lauria are pennable by you. And then, so you have this 13-kilometer concealment. You go 35.5 knots with brisk, which is buffed to like 37 knots when you use your F key twice. You have basically Montana guns with worse dispersion and 0.2 worse sigma. You have this like Thunder returning. You have better than Vermont acceleration. You have not quite Kremlin levels of armor, but I would say you're probably a top 5 most well-armored tier 10 BB in the entire game. You have an improved heal. Dude, I can't even keep track of the gimmicks, man. You have an improved heal. It heals 65% of your pen damage, and also reloads in 60 seconds pace. What else do you... Oh, yeah, you have American DCP? Yeah. 28-second DCP with this build. And then you have the best secondaries in the game. And then you have the F key. And the F key is giving your secondaries a 15-kilometer range. It's basically increasing your damage. You see they're plus 30% damage and 20% reload. Basically almost giving you a 50% damage boost to your secondary damage output. The ship is just flat out retarded. This may be, you know me, I'm kind of a hater on the BB meta, you know, the BB design of the game right now, but this might be the most overpowered ship in its tier they've ever produced. And I am dead serious when I say that. There is not a ship in the game that, like, does anything against this thing in a 1v1. Aside from, like, basically Ledgemog, like, Columbo can put out consistent damage to this thing, but the problem is it has the improved penetration percentage repair and the improved cooldown, so it's still gonna kill you, it pens you everywhere, right? Like, I never thought we would see the day where, like, Ledgemog Columbo could consistently lose to something. And what is too strong about the ship? Well, the secondaries are too good by default. Like, the base secondaries when you build for them are already too good. The ship is too maneuverable. The healing is too good. The concealment is too good. The gun performance is too good. Everything about this ship is too, like, is just over. This is a super ship. This is a super ship. Near the end of this first replay, I'm going to get in range to fight this Hanover, and, like, the amount that this thing is going to hard bully a ship that overmatches my bow and stern and theoretically is like a secondary ship. It's just hilarious. And really, one of my biggest gripes overall with the Libertad is its performance at medium and long range is way too good. These guns are just frankly too good. I would like to see maybe 1. If we had like 1.5 Sigma on these guns, we might be talking some level of balance on them. Tone down the HE. The HE does 6100. Yeah, the fire chance isn't insane, but it does 6100. You have like Montana pen on the AP. And you want to know something absolutely ridiculous? I am not fully built for secondaries in either of these two replays that you were going to see. I am actually taking fucking range mod on the guns. Why? Is range mod the objective correct choice like I think it is on Poison? No. Definitely not. But the nature of the F key and the nature of the HE on this ship, I think, really makes it like surprisingly effective beyond 20 kilometers. You have a 33-second reload base. You could take, and this is the thing too, this is another hallmark of an overpowered ship. You could build the ship however you want. You could build the ship fully main gun, because remember with the F key, if you didn't build for secondary range on this thing, you could just pop the F key and have secondary range, right? And I also think it's frankly absurd that you can farm up the F key before engaging in brawling combat. Like, look at this acceleration, dude. Like, look, what is this? What the fuck is this? What is this wargaming? Wargaming, what is this acceleration and maneuverability on a battleship? Dude, like, you wish you had this kind of maneuverability and acceleration on a cruiser. Also, something you might have noticed is how low in the water this thing is, specifically the rear half of it. Even the front half is not super high, but the freeboard behind like the superstructure is basically non-existent, if we're being honest. You can go perfectly bowing, kind of like Loria Kremlin, and take very, very little damage, but then unlike those ships, you have this improved DCP and the improved heal. So you combine one of the tankiest battleships in the game. HP is too high as well. We can talk about that too. What would this ship look like if it was balanced? Well, it would have normal acceleration. It would have maybe 10,000 less HP. It would have no FP. We might start talking about this thing being a reasonably fair tier 10 if it had those features. This Delarna is super close, and you might say, wow, what an idiot. He fucked up big time. Yeah, he did, but like, he didn't expect me to get off that rock going Mach 27 either. Now, did he? No, he probably fucking didn't. It's just absolutely absurd. Like, I guarantee you this guy thought that he could chill out here because, well, there's a battleship on the rock in E3. I mean, the secondaries are death to everything. So now, here we go. 1v1 against a Hanover. He's starting this fight on double my health, right? And look where he's positioned. None of my team can help me. And he overmatches my bow and stern, right? So this is going to be a hard fight for me, right? I mean, yeah, he's flat broadside, I get it. Yeah, Libertad is going to basically take something like a Hanover, box it up, and send it home for fucking Christmas. It's just so obscene. The combination of the fire starting, that first hit that you saw there for 5,000 something damage, yeah, that was a secondary salvo. These numbers you're seeing right now, those are secondary hits. Oh, dude. What are we doing? Like, I reviewed the Schlieffen, and I said I'm not a fan of playing the Schlieffen because it doesn't have long-term survivability. But I think that is the one thing that is keeping Schlieffen balanced. Because this kind of fucking... I mean, guys, this kind of tankiness on a battleship with secondaries this good is not balanced like at all. Like, Ohio is not this tanky. It just isn't. I mean, this hull is crazy. This is like a Vermont hull with half the height out of the water. It's unbelievable. Like, look how little damage we've received. Like, the damage being done to this guy by secondaries is just out of control. This is a 10-minute game, by the way. Look in the top of the game. We've won the game. This is a 10-minute game. And I have 223,000 damage in a 10-minute game. In a quote-unquote secondary ship. In a brawling battleship. What's the final count? Yeah, 227,000 damage and 228,000 damage in a 10-minute game. It's retarded. Dude, 107,000. How much did we receive? How much did we receive from the Hanover? Oh, 30,000 from that? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. That was a shitty game, but guys, I played 3 games today, this thing. This was the worst game. Let's go to the second replay. As always, back-to-back games. Let's go to the second replay, which was game 3 of the day. Okay, we are in their very next game, which was game 3 of the day. Game 1 was like 240-some thousand damage and a loss, and we just looked at game 2, which was what about 230k and a win, and now we can look at the third game of the day. The damage is going to be a bit extreme. Let's just say it's going to be a bit extreme. This ship it's flat. I mean, you see the speed that we're going, and I've been touching my rudder, right? I mean, the ship, when locked in a turn, barely goes under 30 knots. This is probably effectively one of the fastest battleships in the game right now, if you run it with Brisk. Because, yeah, you go about 6 knots less than Bourgogne with its speed boost up, but because of the retarded acceleration, you kind of just, never lose speed, right? Like you see, we're going 35 knots with Brisk, man. 35 knots with Brisk, 13-kilometer concealment, 12.5 secondaries, you can get to 15 kilometers with more than Schlieffen damage output. One of the best battleship heals in the game. It's not improved, the amount that it heals you, but the 65% of the pen damage. So as long as you don't take citadels and torpedoes in this thing, you're, alarmingly tanky. And also, you notice that we have 4 heals. This is not taking the healing skill on the captain. So this is another thing that makes this way better than Schlieffen, is on Schlieffen, you get 3 heals base and a limited DCP. I mean, look at this maneuverability. We just turn in and juke these torps. Actually, maybe could have juked all of them, but who cares? But on Schlieffen, you only get 3 heals and 4 DCPs. So you really have to make a very gut-wrenching choice on Schlieffen. Do I take an extra heal, or do I take fire prevention, right? Because they're kind of both, very equally useful on a ship like the Schlieffen. And you just don't have to make that decision on the Libertad. You get better torp protection than the Schlieffen. It's nothing to write home about, but it's over 30%. I believe it's low 30s. The turning radius on this thing is 900, right? The acceleration is 13.5, which you can buff with rudder mod, but I actually don't think that that's the play. As always, we'll talk about that more in the port. The thing with the Libertad is, unlike the Schlieffen, you can impact the game early. And it has, like I said, it's having your cake and eating it compared to something like the Schlieffen. In the Schlieffen, I could do what I'm doing right now, right? I could do what I'm doing right now. But the problem is, everything that shoots me does big damage because of my shell traps, my overmatchable parts. You only have the 8 guns on, basically the same reload. Yeah, it's a better reload on Schlieffen. But it's just crazy. And now you see my F key is ready. So I'm not shooting quite now at the Loria with it because I don't know what's spotting him, right? That's kind of the main reason. I think it's the Zhao. So theoretically, I could lose the spotting on that. But you see, how I'm just kind of tooling around. And this is what I mean with farming the F key. It is probably the easiest F key in the game to farm. Because you have 50 seconds to land a shell or receive potential damage. Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna... Dude, in the 3 games I played today, I don't think I ever lost progress on this thing. That's another reason, by the way, why I actually think range mod is not the objective play, but a bizarrely solid play on this ship, is because there's a lot of situations. I actually had a couple of situations in my first game that we're not looking at, where I was able to use that F key, or I was able to farm the F key earlier with that extra range. And, this guy's in my secondary range. He's 13.9 kilometers away. And, oh, look at this. The Malta's coming to drop me? LO-fucking-L, dude. That's hilarious. That's undeniably hilarious that you would drop this thing, isn't it? Wow. Congratulations for your attempt, sir. This thing is so difficult to torp. It's, bro, torping this thing is probably more difficult than torpedoing a GK with its Hydra up. I mean, I'm being dead fucking serious with that statement. It probably is about as difficult as torping something with its Hydra up. You also get, like, kind of bizarrely, like, okay AA. Like, it's not good, don't get me wrong. And now you see here, like, this Montana's pushing in. So now he's just full on in my secondary range, and I can just park on him, right? I can just completely fucking park on him here. So the captain, you know, that we're obviously running the improved captain, the Pan American premium captain on Libertad might be the single dumbest captain on a ship, like, basically in the game, because it's buffing everything you want buffed on this ship. Like, when you activate his talent, which is so easy to activate because you just have to use the F key, fully use an F key twice, which is pretty fucking easy to do. And then you get, like, ship speed, right? You get a slight reload buff. I mean, it's just absolutely fucking bonkers. You know, this guy's pushing in. I actually should have probably switched earlier to the Alabama in this situation to go. But, like, look at this acceleration, dude. Look at this acceleration. And now, so you see me doing this here. The Montana's on a double fire. And look at these secondaries are hitting the Loria behind me now, too. But we're like, we just juked. We just acceleration juked a Montana salvo at 10 kilometers. And so that's why my secondaries, I changed to the Alabama. Because, number one, he's bow in. So he's kind of like, look at that 3,300 from a secondary salvo. But the Montana had a double fire. That's the main reason I switched to him, right? Although the 3,500, like, you see the kind of damage when these secondary salvos impact people. It's just, like, that was a 5. What is the ship? Dude, what is the ship? And look at the HP that I'm on, right? Like, you can see down here in the bottom left, I've only permanently lost 10,000 health-ish, maybe 12,000 HP, because I haven't taken a Citadel. I've only taken, like, what, one or two CV torps, right? And I mean, I could load AP here, but the HE is so demonic on this thing. It's so demonic. Like, that was those 3 HE shells and that secondary volley, what was that, like 10k? And look at this acceleration. Like, we're on the border. We're just accelerating like a fucking rocket ship. It's unreal, dude. The ship also slows down, like, fairly well, right? Something I've noticed too. So it just has, like, literally everything going for it. We can totally disrespect these Alabama guns, of course, because we're bow into him. I mean, the secondary, like, look at this damage, man. This damage output is so obscene. It's fucking obscene. And it's like every 2 secondary salvos you are starting a fire on. We're at 203,000 damage, 7.5 minutes in this game. Last game, what was I at? I was at 230,000 damage when the game ended. It was a 10-minute game. This is the norm. In my experience, like I said, I normally play ships more than this before I review them, because typically I like to, you know, typically it takes a while to get your baseline. There is no baseline to get on the Libertad. These are just your games. These are just the normal games. You also kind of, like, don't really have a Citadel. I mean, you do. You can. I have Citadel this thing. I will tell you, in, like, 10 games in the Libertad, I've never been Citadel, though. Could be lucky. Possibly could be lucky, but haven't been Citadel. Definitely should have loaded the AP here first. Kind of a mistake, because I easily could have, like, one-shot this Montana. Instead, I'm coming around the rock 2 broadside, which is why I'm, like, very compelled to turn in. But, like, you see also that you can shoot these 2 turrets in the middle. The front one spins through the back one spins through the front. So you kind of effectively have, like, a 6 barrels forward, 6 barrels rearward. A bit worse than that, obviously, but I mean, this guy's just dead. Like, you see how, like, easily, because of the acceleration too, you're so good at juking at this close to medium range, because you can slow down and turn into dodge, but then you can accelerate to get the speed to turn out and shoot your guns, like you see me doing here. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's criminal, man. It's criminal. You know, we are against a bit of a, you know, sus team, but, like, I've basically held this flank solo. I mean, I had maybe a bit of help. Like, my CV suicided early, right? Like, this is going to be a very tough game to win, all things considered. You know, basically mostly because my carrier suicided very early. But here we see the average Hildebrand player with his average Hildebrand player IQ just parked on a rock, flat to me. Pretty cool. And yeah, to be fair, in something with truly decently accurate guns like a Montana, there's a really good chance we would like 30 to 50k that guy, right? You're probably not dev striking broadside healthy cruisers in this thing. It can happen, but the guns, it's less accurate than Montana, less Sigma. You're taking secondaries instead of aiming systems. Look at that turret though. What the fuck is that? Am I in an Elbing? No Citadel, unfortunately, but what the hell was that? Dude, and there's another Citadel. So, I mean, yeah, over the course of 2 salvos, we, like, 40k'd that guy, which is, like, decent, right? But it's nothing crazy. And then, of course, the secondaries are with the with the F key, they're back to shooting this guy at, like, 15, 14 kilometers. And because the fire chance is so crazy, and because the fire chance per salvo is so crazy, and because Libertad gets its secondary damage via salvo, like the weight of a salvo, right? Like it doesn't have a zillion secondaries with no reload like Schlieffen. It has a decent amount of secondaries with a longer reload that do mega damage, mega fire chance, right? Like these big caliber secondaries have like a 20-something fire chance, right? It's absurd. But the thing is, a lot of the time, you only need to get like 10 seconds worth of secondaries on people to light a fire, which is kind of crazy. And I mean, this Baltimore is gaming. My man is absolutely gaming. And you see this turret traverse here. It's like, because we don't take reload mods, so we're at a 30-second turret traverse. I'm kind of trying to position my ship where I can, like, get the front secondaries on one guy and the back on the Baltimore. And I'm trying to, like, wiggle my turrets around because I'm trying to, like, shoot the back turrets and then insta-switch and shoot the front. But I kind of mistimed it. You see here that I was too slow to aim. So I only get like 2 of those shells to clear. But we're 12 minutes in this game, 340,000 damage. It's going to keep going up. I mean, just a spoiler alert, the damage will continue. This was a game, by the way, where I didn't even think or notice that I had this kind of damage this early in the game. Because I was like kind of just sweating my nuts off because my CV lost us the game early, so it was like the sweat to try to clutch it up. But basically, like right around now, I just happened to glance at my monitor and like realize I somehow have 340,000 just effortless damage. It's just so dumb, man. I just don't. It's the most overpowered ship in the game. Like, I don't think that's a hot take. I mean, I think anyone with like a decent amount of skill is going to like if you are a player who has like 10,000 battles and you've like never had a 300,000 damage game, like you're one of those players where like you have like 20 ships in your port where you've had like 250 to 270k damage in, but like you've never had a 300k game. Like this will be the ship that gets you your first 300k game. It'll be the ship that gets you your first 400k game. I just don't like know I just don't know what's going on, man. I just don't know what's going on. Loria has really thick plating, so we're at closer range, especially against something like a Loria. We're not super likely to get good damage on, but I mean, you still can. It's crazy. I mean, you see here the AA is like, it's fairly like okay. I mean, you're not gonna like save yourself from CVs or anything, but really what's nice is that improved ECP and improved pen damage is like really clutch. And I've even held on to the F key bonus here, but now that we've gotten our commander skill popped, also remember the commander is giving, so I'm at like a 22% faster secondary reload because I've acquired one of the talents. Just blow this guy up, I mean, it's whatever. But it's just like the speed, the maneuverability, right? I mean, it's just so crazy. Oh no, we lost a rudder and we're flooding. Oh, if only I had a American damage control that lasted 28 seconds without building for it at all. Oh, and then if, that would be super, super nice for his next strike to come in at. Oh, I'm at 374,000 damage. Very cool. That's not enough. That's not enough damage. We've already broken the... Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Sure. 401,000. Why the fuck not? I think that's my account damage record. This guy says retard ship. Yeah, 100%. I actually think 401k might be. I have a few like, games in like the 360s and 70s. I think that might even be the highest on this account. The third game I played in it today. In 3 games today, let's see, I had 240 something, almost 230 and 400. So almost 300. It's like 280k average today in 3 games. This ship is so retarded, man. There's there's no way to cope yourself out of thinking this isn't the dumbest. It's the dumbest ship in the game. It's the dumbest ship in the fucking game. 126k to this guy. What does he do to me back? What does he do to me back? He does like 20k back. So 73k to this Alabama. What does he do to me? Oh, he does 20k back. I mean, the Hildebrand doesn't count, right? But I mean, this Baltimore, like, this guy is literally like a mosquito. Something like a Baltimore against this thing. It's literally like a fucking mosquito. What are we doing with the design of this game, man? What are we doing? Like, I think Schlieffen is stupid because the secondaries take no skill and they're a bit too good, in my opinion. But, like, the ship has no survivability, so you either can't have long-term game impact or you have to be really smart. Something like Kremlin or Vermont is like way too tanky, but like Vermont is a really long. Like these ships aren't balanced either. I'm just saying, like, there's no downside to the ship because of the improved brisk and the acceleration. It's effectively one of the fastest battleships in the game. It's one of the stealthiest battleships in the game. It has the best secondaries in the game. It has like decent guns. It has one of the best heals in the game. What are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing when I I mean, this would be like putting Schlieffen secondaries on a Kremlin. To me, it's like that stupid. Like, what are we doing? I I just I just like don't I just like almost have no words. I have almost no words. Like I'm as close to speechless as I can get about game. Like ships like Loria or Legmont Colombo are incredibly fucking dumb for like 2 or 3 reasons, right? Like Colombo, the guns are impossible to angle against. It does too much damage, and the firing angles are too good. Which is why Colombo is tanky, by the way. But like, if they just reverted Colombo's firing angle changes, and you had to show 45 degree, like if you had to show GK angles in Colombo, Mecklenburg angles in Colombo, like the ship would immediately not be as overpowered as it is, right? Like you could change. This is my point. Some of these other OP battleships, like Vermont, and Vermont and Colombo are kind of my go-to ships as examples of overpowered because for very different reasons, right? But like Vermont, you could argue like all you would have to do is give it a totally normal battleship heal, right? Like an 80-second cooldown, 10% sit repair, 50% pen repair heal, and like the ship would have a semblance of balance. Um, in Colombo, you could just revert the firing angles to like 38, like horrible firing angles. So like, yeah, the ship could delete you, but it couldn't angle to you while deleting you, right? I mean, dude, I don't know what to say. I've played like less than 10 games in this thing and I have like an account record on it. Like, and as you've noticed, like, I'm not a big damage kind of player, typically speaking, because I typically run in and I either, impact the game early. That's kind of my play style. Like, I'm not a damage farmer. The ship just, like, farms damage without you even noticing it. It's just so, it's retarded. I mean, I don't, like, this kind of damage with these few shots, like, why do I have so many Citadels? Why did the guns perform like this? This thing, we could maybe talk balance if these were like GK 420s, right? Where like the HE damage was super anemic, right? I just don't understand. I don't understand what we're doing. I really don't. I'm It's like almost hard to rant because it's so egregious. Like I almost ranted more because like right like Loria Incomp, some of these retarded ships, it's like they're retarded in the fact that they just like hard bully cruise, but like this thing hard bullies everything. This is the thing, right? Like Schlieffen really bullies DDs with secondaries, and it really bullies like cruisers with secondaries, but like Schlieffen against most battleships will never win. Right? Like a competent Montana player will never die to a Schlieffen. Like I don't care how good you are, like you're gonna die to this thing in your Montana. Like because a smart player in this thing is going to save its F key for like to close the gap, right? And because it's so much faster, especially it can juke, accelerate, and push in so much better and faster than most battleships can. So it's like, you fight this, you spot this thing at 13, 4 seconds later it's secondarying you while farming it probably already has its F key farmed. And then you like try to turn out and run away, and like it has a very respectable salvo, so it can just like chunk a third of your BB with a broadside AP salvo, and then you can't get away from it because you lose all your speed when turning. This thing doesn't lose speed when turning. You can't keep this thing spotted because if it has its F key, it can just farm you incessantly while you chase it, right? Like you saw that Montana and that Alabama, like they can't play at that magic range where like they can shoot me, but my secondaries can't hit them because of the F key. It's like the second they enter that range, then I get 30 seconds of still being able to hit them with the improved range and getting like 50% better damage output. Like, what the fuck is that? And then God forbid you fight this thing when it has its F key and it has its secondary captain up. This thing's hitting DPM has got to be like 120, 130k damage. Like, I don't even know what the hitting. Someone's got to have calculated what like the theoretical hitting DPM of this thing would be with its captain and its F key buffs going on like even just half HP with AR. Like it has to be like double Schlieffen hitting DPM. It's so stupid, man. Let's go back into the port. All right, let's look at equipment. Is it optimal? No, maybe. Doesn't matter. Fuck it. Take no modules, dude. Who gives a fuck? Just don't even put a module on. Yeah, you can't afford cold DCP. Who cares? It's still broken. Fuck it. I mean, I do think you definitely want secondary range. This is whatever. I think this is better. I didn't really notice the secondary DPM diminishing with HE salvos on me like at all. I didn't feel the need to run auxiliary armaments. Maybe you could, whatever. It's still OP. This slot, you could take steering gears, but here's the thing. The turning circle is 910, which is good but not amazing, and the rudder shift is 13.6. So if you take steering gears, you're going to get down, yeah, to like a 12, like an 11.5 second rudder shift, but like in my experience, that kind of rudder shift compared to 13.5 on this turning circle, you don't really notice that you turn that much faster. You'll maybe turn like you might go from 90 degrees flat to vertical in like an extra 1/2 second less. Whatever, dude. Concealment 100% is the play. I don't know. Run reload. Run secondaries. Who fucking cares? Run nothing. Take no module. Doesn't fucking matter on this ship. I run the range because it's so good at HE spamming, and range is just like good on an HE spammer. Also, range is like maybe giving us 1-2% better vertical dispersion. Whatever. I don't fucking know. Run full... Dude, I don't know. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? Your captain... I think this is kind of overall, like, objectively correct. Fire chance is not something I would care about on this thing because most of your damage output and fire starting comes from the super high fire chance. I mean, these secondaries, so it's like you buff this from 22 to 23. You buff this fire chance from 5.5 to 6.5. Sure. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Definitely don't run IFHE. Like, again, you see this. We have 20 of these and 8 of these, right? You have 4 of these per side, right? And they do, like... So a salvo of these is doing, like, a quarter of a salvo of these, right? Does that make sense? You definitely want Brisk. Why is it improved? This is a ship you can take Brisk for free on, too. Super fucking cool. The AA skill isn't even, like, that great aside from getting your DCP back because the heal is so improved on the cooldown and the efficiency. It's like... You don't necessarily have to heal that much. Whatever. I mean, you definitely want full secondaries, probably. This or fire prevention. I think fire prevention 100%. But if you do take an extra heal, you will use it because of that improved efficiency on the heal, healing 65% of your pen damage. You'll actually use 5 heals. So, like, this is what I mean, dude. Like you could seriously not even take secondaries on the captain. You could literally build a tank build. You could just swap this for this, swap this for this. You're a demonic tank. Yeah, you would only have like 10.5 kilometer secondary range. But guess what? Every time you use your F key, you would be back to 12.5. Brain damaged. Stupid. Retarded. What the fuck are they doing? Jesus Christ. You could build this for full tank. It would still be a demonic overpowered ship. Because, like, by the time you get in secondary range for your first combat, you've already farmed the F key, man. because it's so easy to farm. Like, you only have to hit 16 shells. You have to fire like 2 or 3 salvos. Or also remember, every time a battleship, like every time a Montana shoots at you, that is what, 150,000 potential damage. So it's giving you like 20% towards, like, it's a fifth of the F key farm just every time like a Monty shoots you. And then this captain's talents are so brain damaged, man. You just hit the F key twice. Sorry, we're looking at the wrong one. You hit the F key twice, and you get an extra 5% ship speed, half of brisk. And then it takes you, like, basically a salvo less to farm the F key. And then you get 175 shell hits with main and secondary combined, which isn't that fucking hard. 22.5%. And reload time, like... Also, it's so hilarious, because, like, if you run this captain on San Martin, then, like, the main battery reload time and the torpedo tube reload time, like, is literally a what the fuck ever. And the ship speed and the combat instruction progress is also kind of what, like this captain was just designed explicitly for these secondary ships, and, like, not even, like, they fuck cruiser players. If you're a cruiser player, just go fuck yourself, honestly. It's the most overpowered ship probably in the game. Like, I'm trying to, what super ship kills this thing 1v1? Maybe Devastation? Yeah, maybe a Devastation could kill this thing 1v1 because of its heal. That's about it. Yeah, the rest of them will all die to it, wouldn't they? What cruiser can kill this thing 1v1? Man, none of them. None of them. What a normal tier 10 battleship can kill this thing? None of them. Not a single one, really. They all die. Even Legmont Colombo. Never thought I'd see the day where something could put Colombo in a box. Here we have it. We kind of all knew it was OP. Just if you played the tier 8 or the tier 9, you knew this ship was going to be bananas as fuck. It is. You could literally play this as someone who doesn't even like second. Like, I'm serious. I'm dead fucking serious. Take aiming systems on this thing. Take reload mod, aiming systems. You'll have a 29-second reload. Take full tank spec. Okay, go ahead. Play it at mid-range. Then when you push in, you still have the F key to, like, because you'll have like a 9-kilometer secondary range. You pop the F key for like 11.5 when you push in. You put, like, okay, play it tank spec. Still probably, like, objectively too good. What the fuck is this? What is this, dude? It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like, I thought we understood that, like, if you were gonna have Schlieffen level secondaries, you couldn't be tanky. Like, didn't we? It's like with Colombo, man. It's the same thing. Like, didn't we all understand that if you had 16 sap guns, you couldn't be accurate? Didn't we all understand? Didn't the children working for Wargaming understand that if you were going to have the best secondaries in the game, you couldn't be survivable and have decent long-range gun performance and battle impact? Didn't we understand that if you were a DPM platform machine in a battleship, you couldn't be, like, the most maneuverable thing in the game? Didn't we understand this? No, we didn't. Wargaming didn't understand this. Or did they, like, take all of the developers who worked at the game 5 years ago and fire them all? And, like, all the people, like, the keepers of the room temp IQ code of 16 gun 380 millimeter SAP battleships can't be accurate, and god tier secondary battleships can't have god tier armor and improved healing and improved maneuverability. Did they fire all of those guys with, like, 70 to 75 IQ, and now all the new devs have 60 minus IQ? The fuck is going on, dude? There's no excuse for this. Like, there's no excuse for this. The ship takes no skill to play. It takes no skill to survive in. I mean, let's look at the armor. I forgot. I was about to just fucking end the video. Let's look at the armor. Yeah, the superstructure is not that big. You're covered in 50 fucking 1. There's no freeboard in the rear. It's not even that high out of the water in the front. You go perfectly nose in. You're a Kremlin, basically, without an icebreaker. Let's strip all the armor away. Let's look at the Citadel. Oh, look, it's out of water. Oh, what is that? More slope than Kremlin by a mile. This thing has more Citadel plating, by the way. This thing has Kremlin Citadel plating with more of a fucking slope to it, and it's hidden behind 51 mil torque protection. This thing effectively, when it's flat, let's take that away. Effectively, when this thing is flat because of the slope, this thing effectively has well over 500 millimeters of armor. Like, you just basically aren't citadeling it past nut hair range. You just aren't. I just what are we doing? What are we doing, Wargaming? What are we doing? If this thing had like a literally like a North Carolina Citadel, I could look past some of it. If it had like horrible maneuverability, I could look past some of it. If the F key was gone and the concealment was even worse, I could look past some of it. If it had like 1.4 Sigma, I could look past some of it. If it had like 4800 HE Alpha, I could look past some of it. Yeah, the AP Alpha is low. Okay, it's 11. It's like 1,000 lower than most battleships with 406s, or like 1,500 lower. Okay, it's not that accurate. Okay, the guns are still too good for what this thing does. It's just so fucking dumb, man. The ship is so fucking stupid. It's the dumbest boat in the game. It's the most unfair boat to play against in basically anything. Trying to play against this thing in the gunboat, well, its secondaries can literally outrange its main guns. You try to torp it, well, it's basically the hardest battleship in the entire game to torp because of the acceleration and the turning. It's harder to torp this thing than like a GK with Hydro, like just straight up. It just is. It can just like HE spam you to death, even with its mediocre accuracy in Sigma. It just HE spams you to death, and then it has better healing than you, probably. It gets it within 15 kilometers and F keys you. Like, that 30-second F key. So, like, this is the thing, right? Like, let's say you're on half eight, like, just full HP. This thing is giving you 20 reload, 30 damage. So, it's giving, like, 40+% bonus. And then this fucking skill is giving you 22.5. So, like, you can, like, almost... This thing on full HP with no buffs versus on, like, a third HP with both its buffs going, like, almost doubles its secondary damage output. And, like, on paper... This thing has basically Schlieffen hitting DPM, like not quite, okay, not quite Schlieffen hitting DPM, maybe like about 80% as much, 75% as much hitting DPM, but that's on guns that pen 50-9 with better firing angles, right? So realistically, what's the effective hitting DPM? And it has like the same fires per minute, a bit less, I think maybe like 10%, 15% worse fires per minute, but it's like you're getting Schlieffen with IFHE, but better because it pens more. Right, pens 59. You're getting better damage output than Schlieffen with IFHE, but you're also getting almost the fire starting of no IFHE Schlieffen on better firing angles on an incredibly tanky hull that's impossible to hit because it jukes everything. That's impossible to torp because it jukes everything. That's impossible to kill because it out-heals you. Stupid. Brain damage. Retarded. Idiotic. Moronic. What the fuck ever you want to call this thing. I don't know. It's crazy. Like, Wargaming really just outdoes themselves. Like, Loria, like, Incomp came out, I thought it was the most broken thing ever. Then Loria comes out, and it's now the most broken thing ever. Then they introduced Colombo Ledge Mod. That's the most broken thing in the game. And then it's like they're just trying to one-up themselves. Like, it's so weird. You know what it's almost like? It's almost like Wargaming's plan to quiet the complaints from the community on overpowered battleships is to make the next one more OP, which is kind of genius if you think about it. Because, like, imagine going on the subreddit and making a rant right now about Loria being broken. Like, Loria is overpowered and stupid and broken. But, like, imagine picking that to cry about when Ledgemont Colombo exists, right? Or, like, when I rant about Vermont being broken, people are like, yeah, but, I mean, these ships exist too. And it's like, yeah, but if those ships didn't exist, we would all recognize Vermont as being the most OP BB in the game. It's just that it exists, right? Or Maine. Like, they have Vermont. New Vermont is the most OP thing in the game. Then they come out with, like, Loria and Incomp, the most OP BBs in the game. Then they come out with Maine. Then they come out with Ledgemont Colombo. Now they come out with the Libertad. And it's like, I swear to God, man, this is their fucking strategy. I'm telling you, their strategy is every time they introduce a broken ship and we rightfully complain about it, they're like, oh, well, the next one's going to be even more broken, and then you guys will shut the fuck up about Vermont, about Incomp, about Loria, about Ledgemont Colombo, about Maine. Like, it just never fucking ends. Meanwhile, when is the last time we had a cruiser that was even, like, good? Serious question. Premium, right? We came out with Brennus, dog shit. Kind of objectively worse than Henry. We've had Castilla and Yodo and Cerberus. Cerberus is like solid. It's like an okay smoke farmer, but no survivability outside its smoke, right? Yodo is one of the worst cruisers in the game. Castilla is super fun, and I think potentially high game, right? If you saw my Castilla review, I actually love this ship. I love this ship. I think it's like a solid ship, but like it's not overpowered in any way, shape, or form. It's cannon fodder for BBs, right? Like we will never, and you notice like these newer cruisers, like the dockyard, right? They refuse to put out an armored cruiser in tier 10, and by armored I mean a real icebreaker with non-overmatchable side plating, right? Castilla is not an armored cruiser at all, right? I mean, quick refresher, like this is one of the tankiest cruisers they come out with. It's not armored, like Vermont, like anything with 457 just point and clicks this thing, right? We'll just never have it. I'm convinced. I'm convinced we'll never have like a Petro hull ever in the game. And keep in mind, like the Petro is only like truly tanky against like battleships, really. Like most cruisers kill Petro because they out DPM at like 2 or 3 to 1, right? It's just that battleship players cry about it. That's what it's super interesting too, right? Also, side tangent, isn't it interesting how like the secondaries do to battleships what they've always done to cruisers, right? Like Schlieffen with IFHE, like just annihilates your Des Moines, your Salem, right? Your Hindenburg, any destroyer, right? And like it's just that this thing does to BBs what the Schlieffen and the Ohio have always done to destroyers. It's just that now when it happens to everyone's battleship, we recognize it. No, it's so dumb. All right, let's just end it. I'm just upsetting myself at this point. That will do it for the review. Should you grind this line? Actually, yes. Normally, you've heard me say, get the boat, but don't grind the line. This is the most overpowered line in the game. The tier 8, like, bro, I think tier 8, right? Isn't tier 8 ranked tier 8 right now? Jesus Christ, play the Ipiranga in rank. You won't lose a game! You can't lose in that thing. It's crazy. I think I ranked out a silver last season in, like, literally 2 hours. Just rank out. Rank 10 to 1. Retarded. Ipiranga is one of the most OP tier. Like, in every tier, these ships are broken as fuck. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. None of them really have a citadel. They all have demonic secondaries and guns that are too good, and survivability and armor that's too good. Demented. And then definitely get this captain. Like, this captain on this ship is, like, legitimately twice as good plus as Schlieffen because of the improved skills. Like, the fact that this improved skill is brisk is a gigantic middle fucking finger to this player. Like, that is crazy. That is one of the craziest improved skills to have on a ship that does not fucking need a 2-pointer. It just doesn't even need one. Holy shit, brother. Yeah. It's probably one of the only BBs I'm going to be playing in randoms for the next probably few weeks. Because it's so effortless. It's so good at everything. It tanks. It actually does like fairly consistent gun damage output. Keep in mind, like, you got to keep in mind, like, these guns are basically like on the level of OG Columbo guns. Without the sap. Amazing. Oh, truly amazing as far as accuracy goes. They're even a bit better because of the Sigma. All right, let's end the rant. Let's end the depression session. Let's pop the SSRIs, you and me. Let's have a good one. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.